Welcome to Women's Biz Tribe Success Summit. I am having such a fantastic time. I hope you are too. Our last speaker just got us all revved up and energized. And I must admit, what a fantastic way to lead into the next part of our program. I am going to introduce you to Joanne Brooks, who is looking very keen to come on board and chat, but I'm going to say some lovely things about her first. Joanne is seriously all about inspiring women. She believes in the power of women. She believes in the power of business. She puts it all together, and she is one powerhouse of a woman. She's passionate about supporting women in business, whether it's their own business or whether they're employed, because she really just wants women to be creating lives that they dream of and to be living them with confidence and passion and grit. So she has got seriously decades of experience in business and in corporate. She's faced many challenges herself that helps her continue to strive better and just have an incredible understanding of the reality of life and what it actually takes, and then how to actually not take yourself too seriously and just get in there and give it your best shot. Anyway, I'm not going to put words into her mouth. Welcome to our summit, Joanne.
Oh, thank you. I am so excited and super pumped, right? After listening to Connie, what a beautiful message and story. And yeah, I'm excited. Pumped, ready to go.
Fantastic. I'm going to share some slides for Joanne and we will then get started.
Thank you.
There we go.
All right. Thank you. Look, the video before, let's not worry about that too much, but it was a little video about Amelia Earhart, and I'm sure all of you know and have heard of this woman. There's some phrases that I've been doing some research on amazing women out there that have made a difference. And what I love about her message, and this is the second phrase under here, there's more to life than being a passenger. And, you know, for me, that just resonated so well with me. And, you know, some of the other phrases and comments that I heard from her is, and I'm just going to go through them because they just really resonate with me. Let's change that. Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure that was a message from Connie. Pursuing her passion. She's not here to be a passenger, and I will. You know, that just speaks to me in spades. So do you want me to tell you to go to the next slide, Annie? I think that might be what, maybe. Yes, cool. So I'm Joanne. This slide is to show you as me as an 18-year-old and me as I am today. And it was important for me to share those two photos because what I'm going to share with you initially in this piece is the shift and the change that occurred in me. Now, as an 18-year-old, I had just finished high school. I shared recently that if my mum couldn't find me, she would always find me in the cupboard because I was playing in the cupboard very quietly, a super shy person. And so in 1980, next slide, thanks, Annie. In 1980, when I finished high school, there was a few things that I really wanted to do. This photo is a photo of where I used to live. This is a motel. It still exists today on the Gold Coast in Australia. And it's a little motel, and it was a motel that I grew up in. My parents owned it. For context, it still exists today. Like this was in 1980, this photo was taken, so it's still here. It's a motel of ill repute, so I'm told, but that's just a little byline. What's really important about this picture is that, to give you context, in 1980, I finished high school. I always wanted to go to university. That was my goal. I wanted to be an accountant. I wanted to go and enjoy the experience of accountancy. But that option was not given to me. My parents, or my father particularly, he made the decision for me. As again, this was in 1980, a long time ago, and an incredibly quiet and shy person, that university was not my option. I wasn't allowed to go there for various reasons. And you know, my dad was the sort of person that when before we moved to the Gold Coast, he literally just announced to the family, the house is sold, the dogs are sold, the cars are sold, we're moving to the Gold Coast. And that was the lot for my mum. She didn't have a lot of say in how things were done, and that transpired down to me. So for context, as I said, really quiet, really shy person, was given the instruction by my dad that university was not for me and that I needed to go and get a job. So the instruction was go sit the bank exams. And that's what you did in those days. You went to all the banks in the local area and said, I want to sit the exams to become an employee. Sat the exams and thought, great, I've done that. Awesome. I'll just sit back and wait. Well, that was not what my father wanted for me. He said, so Joanne, you will now ring every one of those branch managers and you will keep ringing them until you get the job. Now, that was scary because you know what? That's the ultimate cold calling. Even worse because, I had no confidence in me. I just, ticked the boxes and done the exam. But the interesting thing was I did push myself and I did that. And I actually got the job within 2 weeks. And what the bank manager shared with me was, Joanne, you weren't the most, you didn't get the highest score in the bank exams, but you got that job because you persisted and you rang me every day. And I can tell you now, that has been such an amazing lesson for me. And I know Connie was sharing that earlier today, just in the previous speaker, in that if you want something to change, it has to be up to you. You have to make this thing happen. So in 2015, let's move forward a whole bunch of years, 35 years. And this is me at the launch of my unlisted public company by 2015. It is at Movie World. We hired the entire space and we had about 300 people there. And we were launching our unlisted public company and sharing the journey we were going to take our staff on. So there's a whole bunch of years in between here. So let me give you some context of what happened in between those 2 years to those 35 years to make this difference in me. Because look, I'm standing up in front of a whole bunch of people and, it was a different Joanne by 2015. So what happened through that period of time? Well, in 2000, I had the ultimate jolt in my life in that I became unexpectedly a widow with a 5-year-old child. And that actually was difficult and uncomfortable. Massive shift for me occurred in that I realized if I needed something to change, it was going to be up to me. So I made that change and I decided that I needed to be a better person than I was. My marriage wasn't a great marriage. It ended suddenly through suicide. It wasn't something that I saw coming at all, completely oblivious, but it was an absolute jolt that made me think differently. I started my first business at the age of 38. I'm a late bloomer to business, and I've seen a lot of challenge and a lot of success in business. Challenges in that I've had a franchise taken up from underneath me. I've been faced with a trademark issue from a global company that I needed to make a shift to change my entire company structure. Success in that I grew a business to 30 million in 24 months. Now that is not an overnight success. That had 20 odd years of working in an industry that I knew intimately well. Success in that you can see on the slide here, the first $1 million in November 2014, that was something that gave me great joy because I shared with my team, and at that point I had a team of 8 people, and I said to them, when I see the first $1 million hit our bank account in the company bank account, I would take them first class to Sydney for a first class lunch on the overlooking the Sydney Harbour. And I did that. It was the most amazing and joyful thing for me to be able to do because it built connection with my team. It inspired my team. The loyalty and the tenure that enabled me to do. And they were there for the ride of the growth of the business. And that was just amazing. I hired a private jet. I'll always remember we drove up to the airport, not the normal commercial area. And everybody's in a train behind me. And they're looking rather confused. Why are we here, Joanne? And they set it up beautifully. This garage door just went up. And right in front of us was this Learjet. And that was just the most thrilling thing that I could possibly do. And some of the things that we did in that company for our team was that we took a whole bunch of people to New Zealand, a whole bunch of people to China, to LA, and then we took the last lot were to Alaska on a cruise, something that we made a conscious decision in our business to put a percentage of our turnover, not our profits, our turnover into a fund account. And we made the decision that we would spend it on the staff. And that awards program, it was based on performance and meeting KPIs, enabled me to grow a business to a substantial level, something that was unexpected for me, The pace of it was ridiculous. I don't recommend it at that pace. But sadly, because of legislative changes and because the pace was so crazy, I started making some decisions that weren't quite the best that I could have for the company. I ended up liquidating it. And that was one of the hardest days in my life, was to tell 100 staff that we were closing. And that was a very difficult thing. It took a good 5 years to extricate ourselves out of that liquidation. So what I want to share with you today are 4 really quick tips of things that I know work for me to be the better person, the better leader, the better mother, the better wife, the better business owner, the better mentor to my customers. And I'm going to share these tips with you because I don't want you to be invisible. I don't want you to be, I don't want you to have regret that where you are today is you wish, oh man, I wish I'd done something differently. So we can scoot on to the next slide, Annie. That'd be awesome. So that is what I'm going to share with you today. So this is an image of a woman who is invisible. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have the level of belief in self that they should. And for me, that is not the place that I want anybody to be. Any woman in business, I want you to be confident and curious. So that's the next slide we're going to jump into. So the first thing I absolutely know, is that you need to have a constant curious mind. Don't settle with, well, we've always done it this way. Always ask yourself, what if? And the lovely thing is, when you have shared your vision and your purpose with your team, and when I say team, I just don't mean the people that you employ, whether they're part-time or full-time or casual. It is your advisory board. It is your suppliers. It is your customers. It is your family. Be curious. Give them permission to check and challenge why we do things we always do. Because it's just because you've always done it this way doesn't mean there's a better way to do it or a more efficient way to do it, etc. I know for me, there's been so many of these lessons in my mind. And one of them, I've got a point here, always be watching, because you know what? They are always watching you. One of the things that another massive lesson I had when I liquidated my company in 2016 is that the day that I announced that, this is to 110 staff, tears coming down my face and not a place that I wanted to be at all. But I realized, and it just came into my head, I'm going to close this company. I'm closing the doors today. And I've got 4 offices around the country and here in Australia. I've got a lot of furniture that I need to repurpose. I need to sell so that I can start paying some bills, because everything had just stopped as of that moment. And I actually asked the team, 1 minute I said, I'm sorry you don't have a job anymore. And the next minute I said to them, who might be willing to help me empty the office and put them into a storage shed? Do you know what? It just absolutely floored me. 99% of them said yes, and they hung around for another week to help me do that. And that was the gold in the challenge. That was the little nugget. Today it still gives me goosebumps to think that these people thought so much of me as a leader, and I was oblivious to that. And so it was such a massive lesson to be curious, to continually to be curious, to be watching people, but to be aware that they are watching you. So what are you doing to stand up and be counted so that you can be the best person that you can be? And so that takes me to the next point, which is be unexpected. Now, this is a really important piece in my head. Be unexpected is about doing something that your customer, your supply chain do not expect you to do. Now, one thing that I know, and I see this in many businesses, is that, well, I'm the boss, I'm the CEO, the team are just going to get things done, and I'll turn up when I need to turn up. Don't expect me to turn up every day. I call absolute BS on that. You need to be the business owner that turns up to be counted. You need to be the business owner that is prepared to move the furniture, empty the bins, do all those sort of things. I know for me, I created a practice, a rhythm, a ritual. A ritual is a better word for me, because rituals are those things that I do with intent, with purpose, with connection to why. The thing that I did every day was I walked through my entire office and said good morning to everybody. I turned up and I made sure that I connected with each of my staff. But the biggest lesson here in the Be Unexpected that I learnt over the years, this business that seemed to have this overnight success piece, it had many years of experience sitting behind it. So what I did to Be Unexpected was I went and spoke to five of the largest competitors in our industry at the time. My biggest competitors, they were global companies. I knocked on their door. Was it easy? No. Did it take a fair bit of communications, lots of phone calls? Yes, it did. But I turned up on their door and I said to them, I do exactly what you do. You are a large organization that you're a bit like the Queen Mary. You can't stop quickly. You can't pivot. But I'm like the little orange speedboat. So I can move and shift and change and meet the market demands as those market demands happen. How about you allow me to partner with you? I will do everything that you need me to do to meet our compliance in our industry, because it's a very heavily compliant industry. And what I made sure I did for them is they had full understanding and clarity of what I was doing on their behalf. And I managed to secure 5 agreements with some of my largest competitors in the country. So you know what? That was utterly unexpected. They did not see me coming. They did not know that I was going to be doing that, and that I had a clear understanding of what it meant to be a player in the industry in which we played. And we were in the training sector of Australia, in Australia here. We've all heard the old adage, over deliver, turn up early. If you say something's going to be due at 12 o'clock on Wednesday, get it there to them by 10 o'clock Tuesday if you can. Continually learn about how you can improve. Like, I recently turned 60. I am constantly learning. I'm constantly reading books, constantly watching podcasts, constantly connecting with networking groups like the Women's Biz Tribe. It's just something that I know I've got to keep learning to keep consistent with my delivery and consistently to be able to be unexpected, to continue to make the impact that I want to make. And it's about me taking the initiative. Again, back to the lesson from 1980. If I want something to change, it has to be up to me. And so the next point that I want to talk about is to know your why. Too often I speak to business owners and I say to them, why did you start this business? And, the common ones I hear is, well, I lost my job, replacing an income. I can do it better than the boss. I really love this product that I've created, so I'm going to put it to market. But that is not deep enough. You need to absolutely go back to your why. Tap into your values to know, where do you stand? What is not negotiable? Why do you do what you do? What is the impact you're looking to make when you deliver your product, your service, your offering? And you know what? I want you to take it to the next level. Too often I hear, and this is sadly, it's often from women, is that they keep these things quiet. They don't share their vision. They don't share their goals. For me, one of the things that I found was the unexpected, that tapped into the unexpected piece, was I shared with everybody that I spoke to my one-page business plan. It had my aspirations for turnover, my aspirations for what I was going to do with the business, where it was going to go. I absolutely shared what my goals were, why I was doing what I was doing on this one-page business plan, and it was up on the wall, and I constantly reshaped it and rechecked it. I was loud and proud about talking to people and sharing with them why I was doing what I was doing, and I continue to do that today. So, often goals are a thing that you're aiming for in the future. What I've noticed is that many people, they don't create big enough goals. I want you to create goals that actually make you go, whew, man, that makes me a bit scared in my tummy. I've got some butterflies. But you know what? That's great. Goals that actually scare you. Goals that actually, when you tap into them and you see them on the wall and they're connected to why you do what you do, they connect to your values and they connect precisely to what impact you want to make with your business. That is what will get you up in the morning again. And, Connie spoke about, what do we do in the morning to be the best version we can for ourselves today and for the rest of the people that you're connecting with. Create goals that actually blow your mind and you go, whoa, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. So here's an extra little tip I'm throwing in. don't get lost in when you're creating goals of how you're going to do that. Goal setting is not about, oh, it's this, but how do I do that? No, the how will come later, which is this slide that is showing at the moment. When the why becomes clear, the how becomes easy. That's something, again, that I learned so long ago, that, getting caught up in how you're going to do something when you're in goal setting mode actually distracts you. It actually starts putting up a bit of a wall and a bit of a barrier into making these goals really big. And goals absolutely need to be tapped into why you do what you do, what impact you're going to make with your business or with the career that you're on the journey with. I know that when all those are connected, they flow. What I can share with you when they are not connected, and I can tell you now, that business that was growing at that ridiculous pace, towards the end of its life, for want of a better word, I was finding it really difficult to get up in the morning. I didn't understand why. It was only a good 12 months later, after the liquidation, and I'd had a coach all the way through this, and she could see what was happening, but it was going to be up to me to recognize where the wheels were starting to fall off. And I own that. I was the business owner. That was for me to own and to have actioned. And it had critical consequences, right? Because we liquidated it. But what I know on reflection, with the counseling, with the coaching that I had, is that I'd lost my why. I'd lost that connection, because on reflection, what I realized was, oh gosh, that feeling that I had in my tummy was my body telling me, oh, Joanne, there's something not aligned here. You need to recalibrate this thing. And what I fully believe and aware of is that because I wasn't connected to it, the universe was going to serve me a great big slap across the back of my head to say, Joanne, you are not living to your values and your purpose. So I'm going to give you a great big jolt. And so I know when you lose that, like I found it really difficult to get up in the morning. The business was incredibly profitable. It was doing incredibly well. But because I was reliant on these partners to work with me, and legislation was changing, lots of things going on in the industry, that I had no time to resolve it and fix it. So liquidation was the only option that I had. But what I know on reflection was I lost my connection to why I did what I did, the purpose I was here for. I was not connected to the values. I'd lost them. And so what I've been doing over the last 6 years is doing a lot of work on me. Because again, back from 1980, what I know is when I connect to me and I get me right and I'm aligned head, heart, gut, when everything is aligned, the how becomes clear, becomes easy, and we can then move forward with what we need to do to take the next step. So there's the last piece that I want to share with you is be prepared to say no. Like, we are great people pleasers. A lot of women, a lot of people just want to be a people pleaser to make, to give what we think the answer should be for the person who's asking the question. But you know what I've learned in the last 6 years, and I said I've recently turned 60, so it's taken me a while to get to this point. But what a lot of learnings and blessings I've had along the way is that you can't be a people pleaser. You need to stand your ground. You need to listen to your heart, your head, and your gut, and you need to stick to your values. One of the simple things that I realized from a long time ago, you always want to be the boss, that you're accessible. How often have we heard, the door is always open, come in and ask me any question you need, and not realizing the consequence of that statement to a reasonably large team was that they would just walk in the door. No boundaries set. So, that was a really great lesson for me, because you know what, you do want to be there for your staff, but you need to set the boundaries. You need to know when it's the right time to say no, or is it not now, but can we do it at 2:00 on Wednesday? That's done with respect. But you know what, the other piece that you go down for this one as well is be prepared to say no to people that that if they're going to be a potential client, you want to connect with values and purpose. If you're going to be in partnership with somebody, joint ventures, bring in investors into the business, bring in people into your business ecosystem, check, are their values aligned to yours? Do they do what they do for the right reason? Do they know where they're taking their business? Do they connect with you, and does it align with your business? If it doesn't, be prepared to say no, because those sorts of relationships where they're not connected, oh gosh, that's hard. That just makes life very difficult for everybody, not just you, but for the other side of the contract. Super, super important that you are prepared to say no, or not yet. Can we do it at this time? For simple context, because what I know is, opportunities don't come by themselves. We need to create them. So being connected to those 4 tips that I've shared with you is what's going to help you. So I wanted to share a little slide, if we can bring this one up, because I just want, it's just a visual I want you to have a look at to where you are at now. And this could be just a little checker for you to understand, where are you? If we can go to the next slide, Annie, that'd be awesome. Where are we? Are you sitting at indecision? Are we not? You're sitting on the fence, don't really know where you're going, or is there decisions to be made? Because, and I know that the font has gone a little bit wonky here, so let's just work with it. That's cool, because what we want to shift you from is from being stuck, doubtful, putting things off, getting off that fence, taking some progress, and having certainty. And that's something that I'm deeply, deeply passionate about. So, what happens next for you? It's absolutely up to you, and it's your choice. So the next slide, if we could, it'd be amazing, because you know what? Doing nothing today, and we've heard from Connie about getting active, and who cares what age you are? Let's just keep going. I go to the gym 4 days a week, and I can tell you, when I don't go to the gym 4 days a week, when I don't do my meditation and walk in the morning, I know my body is saying to me, oh, Joanne, you haven't set yourself up for success today. So that's what I want to set you up for. Doing nothing is not a place you should stay, because nothing will change. Don't put your head in the sand. Yes, absolutely. Plan the next steps. Have a great idea. Put the plan in place. But if you don't action it, nothing happens, because that just becomes a pipe dream, right? So what you need to do today, whatever that is to take action, because now this part is what gets me excited. I want to hear what your action you are going to take. And so I've got a couple of questions here for you, just winding down to this piece for you, is I want you to think about, and even if you take a screenshot of this next slide, I want you to think about, what is your noble purpose? What is the reason that you do what you do every day? Why do you do it? And if you thought about it, what are 2 words that others might describe about you? What 2 words describe what you do for others? I would love to hear it in the chat, or later on through, I'm sure, through the Biz Tribe community. I'm in there, of course. I want to know, what is your noble purpose? That's taking it a little bit deeper. So what I want to follow on from here is, let's just quickly recap what we've covered today. Be curious. Always be asking, what if? What's the consequences? Be unexpected. Turn up. Do something that nobody expects. Know your why. There's a bit of a typo there. My apologies. I'm human. Be prepared to say no. That is 4 quick tips that I want to share with you. And if we can just throw into the last slide, because what I want to give you is a gift. If we can go to the next, yes, beautiful. That QR code, if you can grab it, will actually give you some of my time. There's no commitment. It is simply scan that, and you can book in some time with me, no cost. I just love connecting with women in business and having a conversation. If I can help you take away something from that conversation that can shift and change your life and your business, for me, that's tapping into my noble purpose. That's why I'm here. So thank you, Annie. I am super pumped that I was able to deliver this today and was invited to participate. And thank you. Awesome.
Oh my gosh, so many gold nuggets in that presentation. I absolutely loved it. I've written in the chat, hey ladies, I hope you're taking notes. Because there were just so many great principles there. And I just really thank you and honor you for sharing, your real story, right? And that's what we're all about at Women's Biz Tribe. It's about saying things as they are. There's some freaking amazing moments that you shared, and congratulations to you, like ridiculous. And then there's also times that you go, what was I thinking? I lost track of focus. It was probably too good. Sometimes you just don't appreciate it, and other times you work your butt off and things don't happen. That is business and life. And
Life.
and crazy experiences, what happened with your partner, and unpredictable things happen as well. And so you do need to learn to adjust to be able to move on. And those principles, I think, be prepared to say no is actually really, really powerful. The more and more those growing and doing my incubator programs and growing your own businesses, you've really got to back yourself, trust your gut, go lean in and just continue. I love your words, curiosity, be curious, keep learning, learn about yourself, learn about your business. I love what you said about do it quicker and faster than others. Absolutely. Dazzle people, be dazzling, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. I like to be a queen of dazzle, and sometimes I totally nail it, and other times I have some little moments. Okay. Most important is the intention. If you have an intention, then most of the time you'll come up trumps, and then life happens, and sometimes you don't. But you don't play for the lowest common denominator. You actually just rise above. And in that generation where you were told limited beliefs, or just what doesn't even mean that and I was from that generation as well. And so none of it. It doesn't even have to mean that it was bad. They were doing what society expected at that time. So there's no criticism. I don't look back and criticize previous generations. I go, you know what? We all do what we think is the best decision at the time. And that's the way it is. So all we can do is very much just have a forward view and go, well, what does the future look like? Well, for us, those that we work with, those children that we're raising, those people that we're in care of, they're just so powerful. And I just thought your talk, oh my gosh, what a compliment after Connie's actually. I mean, I know we just had exercise and then we've business and life, but you know what? It just went together. And so that was just
little high fives as I was listening.
Super powerful. So thank you for that. That was I'd love to take the credit of that programming, but sometimes things are just a blessing.
Good. Yeah, I was doing high fives and I was listening to a message and I went, oh gosh, this is just a lovely segue, beautifully programmed, Annie.
Exactly. Anyway, we have definitely pushed on past time. Our next speaker is going to be Jane Vandermeer. She's going to be on in about 15 minutes and we can't wait to hear from her. She's a queen of style. She is definitely going to dazzle you and make you just feel like a little bliss blonde and love the skin you're in. But we are going to do that. I'm just going to thank Joanne Brooks for just being such an incredible speaker. You can find her at navigatebiz.com. Super easy to find. She's on LinkedIn. She's on all the socials. She's over in the Women's Biz Tribe. She's in the chat. So if you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you are tuning in, definitely reach out, take advantage, scan that last page of her slides when you just watch the replay, and hello, bingo, you're going to get a gift straight away. So many of our beautiful speakers are giving away incredibly valuable gifts that seriously have the power to just change your life like that if you lean into it. So take the opportunity and just totally be blessed.
Thank you.
Ladies, are you dreaming big enough? I want you to dream big and act bigger. You see, I want to have power. I want to be empowered. Suddenly, being empowered is a more positive word because I want to make sure that I know my own values, my boundaries. I know what I want to achieve in life. Visible and invisible barriers are only a problem if you accept them as such. So a woman with a big dream also needs to have a plan, because without a plan, that dream is just a wish.
I love her confidence, I love her charisma and her positivity and her brightness and her color and her lessons about life. You know, as a woman who's been through so much, It was really, really inspiring and really interesting.
I had 4 kids in 2 years. I wanted to be a businesswoman. I had no money. I had to think, how is this dream going to happen? If you actually start believing if something's important to you, just back yourself. Back yourself despite what other people say. Successful people are not held back by what other people say.
I would recommend that for everybody, because everybody should have a dream and everybody should back themselves. So I think she's awesome.
Even when it feels like everything's not going to work, they go, you know what? I'm going to make sure that this does work. I'm going to be positive despite, because it brings energy, it brings opportunity. And as soon as you actually get half glass empty, your vision will start failing. I encourage you to start making your dreams a reality in business and in life.